Citations Analysis of this table. My name is Sir Antalot, and welcome to another installment of an Aspie's Guide to Gaming. But let's just say for this video, I'm not going to be reviewing any of the games I have, but rather I'm going to be reviewing a lot of gaming. Well, it's going to be a lot of things, but they're not games. They're game controllers. So today I'm gonna be reviewing every controller I have for every console I have in my room, excluding the NES and the SNES Classic because, well, they're the same thing as the NES and SNES, practically. But before we get to today's video, let me just say Happy Thanksgiving. I know this isn't really I had something else planned for like being a festive for Thanksgiving, but honestly couldn't think of anything. So yeah, let's just get into today's video. So, where's that first controller? So the first controller I want to review is the NES Controller. This controller, I'm basing these not on how they work with a game, I'm just going to base them on how they look and how they feel. Now, I've had a lot of experience with, sorry my nose is itchy, allergies. So I've had a lot of experience with the NES, it's a bit dusty, but honestly, it's not one of my favorites. People keep saying that the corners get a little bit sharp. I don't know what that means. I mean, it doesn't cut me or anything. I guess it means they're a bit uncomfortable with the sharp edges. I don't know what they mean by that. But anyway, so basically, to review the NES NES Controller, D-pad responds pretty well. A and B buttons, they feel comfortable. D-pad, start and select, pretty comfortable. The only thing I don't like is the D-pad. I have to agree with a lot of people saying after long periods of time it gets a little uncomfortable for your thumb. But that's just a minor complaint. Also, the controller cord. Thank the Lord it's this long. Like, I can't even stretch my arm out. A, because of the wall, and B, even with my arm stretched out, I can't exactly. Anyway, so basically, to review the NES Controller, I'd have to give this a. Okay, I'm sorry about my family. They're really loud. I have to give the NES Classic a score of an 8 out of 10. So yeah, there's that review. Next controller. Now, keep in mind, I'm only going to go based off the original controllers also. I honestly don't have an NES Advantage or an NES Max yet. But I'm only going to base on controllers that came out with the console, like the original controllers. So next up, the SNES Controller. This controller, honestly, feels great. I haven't had that much experience playing with it on the Super Nintendo because, well, this is the only game I have for it. I haven't gotten that many games for the Super Nintendo. Well, for the original, that is. But anyway, D-pad controls nicely. It feels nice. It feels comfortable. L and R, well, I usually play like this, but not like this. I don't even see the purpose for them, honestly, sometimes. Well, I haven't experienced it yet. Start and select, comfortable. Although, the only thing, I can see why people get a little bit confused when converting from NES to SNES because, well, the buttons are, well, slanted. I can see why this can be confusing and a bit uncomfortable for people who switched from NES to SNES back in the late 80s, early 90s, I'm not sure. Anyway, so you have to go, but the A, B, X, and Y, when they added X and Y, pretty comfortable, I have to admit. And to review the Super Nintendo Entertainment System's controller, I give it a 9 out of 10. Also, the controller's cord is way longer. It's bunched up. I know. I wrap the cord around the controller. I don't know why. Next up, my least favorite controller. Nintendo 64. Honestly, how has nobody realized this when I have? If you're a Ninja Turtles fan, doesn't it look like holding upside down? It looks like Raphael's Sai. Like, is it Raphael? I never watched it, so. But seriously, this thing is like, it's the most uncomfortable controller ever. It has L and R, yes. It has A, B, yes. It has a D-pad, but why the analog stick? Why 4 C buttons? And what's the purpose of this button? Like, the Z button. I mean, sure, it can be comfortable for some games, but... And sure, it can have multiple ways of playing, like this, or like this. But honestly, like, it's just so uncomfortable. Especially when you're playing like this, and you have to reach L, unless you're playing Daikatana. But anyway, and Start's actually pretty comfortable, so along with A, B, and the D-pad and L and R. But honestly, like, it's like so uncomfortable, especially when you're trying to reach Z. You have to use your middle finger, or you're playing like this, and you have to scratch, and you have to like almost break your index finger trying to reach L. I mean, it's just, I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it. 5 out of 10. I gave it like a 4 out of 10. Thankfully, Nintendo improved their work with... Sorry about my family, they're obnoxious today. The GameCube controller. The GameCube controller, honestly, is one of my favorite controllers of all time. I've actually wanted, keyword wanted, to starting the GameCube controller collection, but I realized I didn't have space for it. I mean, out of all the consoles I have extra controllers for, this is one of them. Of course, it's a GameStop controller, but it works well. We have 2 triggers, the R trigger. Mine's a bit older, so the R trigger sticks a little bit. We have a turbo button, which also sticks kind of. X and Y. X also sticks a little bit, but that's just due to age. The analog sticks are pretty well. The D-pad, honestly, it's too tiny. Way too tiny for my liking. I'm recording in here! Then the C-stick, well, clearly made for baby hands. And the start button, well, it's alright. But honestly, also controller length, well, not as long as, well, NES or SNES cords, but honestly, the GameCube controller, I mean, the main focus of letters is the letter A, which makes sense because the A button is the biggest controller on here, or biggest button on here. So yeah, for the GameCube controller, I give it a 9 out of 10. Also, has anyone else noticed the GameCube controller looks like a Virtual Boy controller? I can't review that one, by the way. And no, I don't have a Virtual Boy. Anyway, next we have Nintendo. You were doing so well with wired controllers. What is this garbage? I know, people love the Wiimote, but wow, it's dusty. I haven't used this thing in forever, apparently. Anyway, so, the Wiimote. I have no words. Like, yes, it works fine with some games, but most of the Wii games are shovelware. Like, the D-pad, unless you can use the, you can't hold the D-pad and press 1 and 2 at the same time, but unless you're rolling it like this. But honestly, the D-pad and 1 and 2, in case you want to pause the game, but it's like, it's hard to explain. Also, they put the B button on the back, which it's alright, but that's my only pro about the Wiimote. And sure, the motion controls sometimes work, but even with the Wii Motion Plus, this thing on the bottom, this thing right here, it just, even without the Wiimote, Motion Plus or whatever it's called, it just yeah, without it, the Wiimote's practically useless. And with the Wii Motion Plus, it's semi-useless. Personally, if I had one, I would go with a Pro Controller, so you can just pop that out and plug it in. But I don't see any purpose for using this. 3 out of 10. And then, oh god. Then, Nintendo made another mistake. Yes, they just recently got this. I recently got this, but it's a bit oversized for my liking. I have a scratch right there. I did that. I mean, the Wii U gamepad. I don't have a Wii U Wiimote, but it's basically the same thing, only shorter than a regular Wii Wiimote. But the Wii U gamepad. What can you say about it? Other than it's kind of bad. I mean, sure, ZL and ZR are pretty good. R, L and R are pretty good, but really, unneeded features like TV control, if you don't have cable, what's the point? Battery life sucks. It just sucks. Power, it helps to power on from like a console. It helps with if you stand up, forget to turn on your console and be like, press it, but these analog sticks, I just prefer the D-pad. I honestly prefer the D-pad over the analog sticks because many reasons. I just feel like the analog sticks are a bit unresponsive at time to time and a bit slippery. ABXY, however, pretty good. And sure, it has an amiibo slot, which I don't have that many amiibos. I only have like 2, maybe 3 if you have the cereal box. But anyway, everything else, like, it just, I wish my Wiimote, the Wii U, sorry. The Wii U just didn't come with a Wiimote, unfortunately. I have to buy one. But, honestly, even though my Wii U, I got it from a resale shop, doesn't have its own sensor bar, I prefer a Wii U remote over this. I give the Wii U gamepad, well, actually it's the same thing as a Wiimote, 3 out of 10. But then, at least Nintendo, after the Wii U and flop, well, after the flop of the Wii U, at least Nintendo learned how to make controllers again with the Switch. I mean, think about it. It's a portable console and a home console at the same time. I mean, sure, I can play the games with. Everything just works. The game cards just pop onto the thing, onto the game card slot. There's a headphone jack right at the top. The only thing that's my only complaint. The headphone jack is on the top. Usually, when I'm holding a handheld device, like the headphone jack's like at the bottom. But other than that, that's my only complaint. Oh yeah, another complaint. If you want to slide your controllers out and want to play on your TV, these things, they're a bit too small. Even if you're playing offline co-op and want to use the triggers on the side of your controllers, you can't. So imagine if you're playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch, and you want to use an item, you have to press, if I remember correctly, the right trigger. I haven't played it in a while. But I think you have to press the right trigger in order to, actually use an item. But even with the accessory of the Switch being the slide-on, grip things, they work way better with the grips, with the slide-on grips, with the twist tie things, you don't lose them with rage, than the actual button. It, just hardly works. Also, clearly these also were made for baby hands. The buttons are responsive, but sometimes I forget that I'm using... Sometimes I kind of forget that the controller... That for this one, the buttons are on the bottom, and this one, the buttons are on the top. Sometimes I want to, Sometimes I have to, I just have to recalibrate my mind every time I have to use them. Also, but at least they work the same way in co-op, so we have one like this. But other than that, the Switch, other than those minor complaints, the Switch is pretty good. I give it a strong 7 out of 10 for control-wise. So, I think that's all my Nintendo consoles, but there's still two more. Still two more to review. How much footage do I have left? Sorry, I just have to check how much footage I have. Okay, 13 minutes. Wow, this video is longer than I thought. Anyway, so next comes the other consoles that I have. Microsoft mainly, but it's only Microsoft consoles in this room, so it's only one. And that is the Xbox One. Personally, I flippin' love this controller. It feels responsive, the triggers and bumpers feel great, the analog sticks feel amazing, the D-pad feels great, ABXY is amazing, the only complaint I kinda have, which isn't really a real complaint, they replaced start and back with, honestly not sure what to call these. I guess a box in front of another box diagonally and 3 horizontal lines. I don't... Anyway, so yeah. I mean, just look at it. That makes sense? Can you make sense out of this? Because I sure can't. Anyway, well, so basically, the Xbox One controller, honestly, I freaking love. And sure it's pretty much useless wireless, especially with the battery power. Excuse me. Sorry. But with the battery power, it's only a minor complaint. Other than that, the Xbox One controller, 10 out of 10. Love it. But then, now for the last console controller I have here. Well, it's not a Sony console controller, but honestly, they're all the Sony PlayStation consoles I have are downstairs. But let me align the cord first. Honestly, what is this? Honestly, now I like this console, but the controller, it looks like a starship if you hold it like a silhouette of it. But honestly, I mean, the controllers, well, the Sega Dreamcast, this is the controller for it, is great, but the controllers could have been put more effort into it. I mean, there's 2 triggers, which simplifies everything. An analog stick, which they put above a D-pad, but honestly, it's kind of comfortable, kind of uncomfortable at the same time. I mean, it works, but it's slightly uncomfortable. Then we have ABXY, which is kind of the same thing as a Microsoft controller. I don't know, I think about it, only in different colors. I mean, just look. They're in the same formation, just in different colors. That's kind of weird. Anyway, but this only complaint I have, other than that, well, yeah, also there's a start button right at the bottom. I only have a few real complaints with it. Honestly, what's the point? Why is the cord all the way at the bottom of the controller? You would expect it to be like this, which I guess is why they put that notch there. But if you put a notch there, if you're wanting your controller to point up towards the console, why not just put it there, not the notch, the little divot there? Also, another complaint I have with the Dreamcast controller. The Dreamcast has no built-in memory. All the memory is within the visual memory unit, or VMU for short, and you plug it right into the console. Just look. I had to buy this online, the VMU. I had to buy the VMU online because I didn't know the Dreamcast memory is stored in the VMU when I bought the Dreamcast. I mean, I like the Dreamcast and all, but honestly, the controller is kind of hit or miss. So for the Dreamcast controller, I give it a 6 out of 10. It has some pros, but the cons outweigh the pros. I mean, so yeah, I think that'll wrap up this video for today. I would have reviewed some Sony consoles or the other two Microsoft consoles, the Xbox and the Xbox 360 controllers. but they're all not in this room. I'll have to do that for a separate video. Actually, let me know in the comments. Would you like to see that separate video? Either way, either if you like this video or not. Well, let me restart. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, drop a like a drop in the bass. Wah wah. And give the old subscribe button the smizzity smack. And I'll see you Valentine's in the next video. Dudes. Oh, happy Thanksgiving.